Hello everyone. AmyR here with Prairie Paper and Ink. Welcome back to my face and my card making space. And a card, possibly more than one card. I'm actually filming this intro before making anything, using some good new Altenew products, and specifically the new Stampwheel 2.0. So let me flip the camera around and we will look at this. Okay. So here is the original stamp wheel. I've shown this in videos, really liking it. So let me move this out of the way actually, and we'll just quickly go over like the main one. So, great stamp positioner. You've got your plate, like your lid, your plate to put your stamps onto. Really like this. I've had people ask me like, is this heavy? Like, is it cumbersome? Anything like that? No, it's sturdy, it's not bendy and it's not heavy. It's lightweight, easy to use. Hopefully that makes sense. And yeah, it's not flimsy at all, which is great because you need to be able to move it. That's kind of the whole point, especially if you're someone who likes to do like radial type stamping, wreaths, that sort of thing, because you can use small images, line it up, and then you can rotate it over and over again, which I think is kind of cool. So you got that. There's options available with the stamp wheel. You can get, there's this grid one, and then there's like radial plates. I had got the grid plate because I like having grid lines. There are also options for inside the stamp wheel. It comes with the Altenew Ultra Sticky Grid, which I use. I have separate ones that I use a lot that are stained, so stained. But it's got its sticky grid, but there are also mats for it, which, as I'm doing like basically a review, do I know where mine are? No. But there are like little sticky mats you can get now that will fit in here that have grid lines on them. I just need to stick one in here because that would be nice. That was my only thing with this, is not having grid lines, because I do like to sort of line things up, but so far it's been fine. So yeah, it just like this. It's roughly 7.5 inches. Yeah, just shy of about 7.5 inches of like working space. And then the other thing I really like about the stamp wheel is like the back's got foam, but it also has these little like silicone type feet. And I like that because this like does not move when you on my glass work surface. Like once I've like kind of pressed it down a bit, like see, my camera's moving, but this doesn't move, the feet kind of like cling to the surface. So I like that. I don't mind things moving a bit, but I like that this kind of stays because, when I'm taking the lid off and doing my thing. So anyway, that is just the OG stamp wheel. Just, in a nutshell, because it's been out. There have been plenty of reviews. I don't really need to reinvent the wheel with that. So they announced Stampwheel 2.0. So bigger, and a couple other little features. So here's the original, just to kind of give you an idea. So it's not enormous, it's just bigger. And let me get this one out of the way. It's also part of the issue. I need a bigger boat. Okay. So the working space in the Stampwheel 2.0 is like 8 3/4. Yeah, about 8 3/4. It's a hair more than that. So it's got a bit more working space. There are, you can kind of see them here. There are some like measurement lines now on here on each side. So that's also nice too. You've got your plate, same idea. It's, it's not flimsy. It's not going to flop around. You're going to get a good stamped impression, and it's not heavy at all. Not heavy at all. I do like the gold finish. They kind of upgraded that to a more like this, I don't know. It's a subtle thing, but it's like pretty. And then the big thing with this one is this side comes off. It's not magnetic or anything like that. It just fits into place. And at first, like when I first heard this, I was like, I don't know, like, is it still, like, gonna work? Oh, yeah, the way they, like, tooled this, you know, everything still fits. Like, I was legit, because, like, this is why I don't do product design, because I was like, oh, is it even still gonna, like, line up proper when you remove the side? Oh, yeah, it does. The way this fits, you're still gonna be able to stamp. And then, of course, because this is open, when you take this out, you can have, like, a full piece of paper, full piece of cardstock, large stamps, because Altenew has got some big ones, Love it. So this just gives that option. For me, I love it because you all know I love to do the insides of my cards. And depending on how I'm doing what I'm doing, this will make it easier. Because I've done it with the regular stamp wheel, like kind of lined up a card, but you have to like let the edge hang over and you just got to be really careful how you place it. So having this, it's like, oh, I can just have the card just hang off this side. Just take this off, do my thing. So I like it. I've used it a few times, not a whole lot. I'll be using it more in videos, but this is just, again, just kind of a quick overview as is. It's got the same, like the foam backing and these little silicone type feet, which again, I really like because it keeps things a little more contained. And yeah, another sticky grid mat, which love these as well. Love. So far, so good. There's my review. There's my review in a nutshell. So if you have the original stamp wheel, do you need to get this one? It's up to you. Depending on how you work and what you do, especially if you do like larger scale projects or you're just feeling more limited with the original, like me, wanting the space, that openness, etc. It just is going to depend on the person and how you create. So, yeah. I've been enjoying it. I've been enjoying playing with it. Disclaimer, this was sent to me. The original stamp wheel was not. I purchased that myself. And no regrets. I like having more than one tool anyway. But this one was sent to me. So, want to be clear about that. Honestly, I would have purchased it at some point because I'm just curious. I'm just curious. And having the this, I was like, oh, So, but yeah, this was sent to me and I don't have to do this review. I just thought I would do that since I am also, this video is part of a hop. I'm in a Instagram hop. So I'm filming the video that I'll put up. Probably the video is going to come up later by the time I'm done editing all the things. But I am in an Instagram hop to like just share inspiration and awareness that this is now available, etc. And yeah, I think those are all the disclaimers. That's all I have to say. So far, I'm enjoying it. I've been enjoying all the different tools and things that I have purchased from Altenew. No complaints on my end. Yeah, let me know if you have any questions, because I'm sure I'm forgetting things. It's really late at night as well. That's also why my brain is just like, me. It's really late at night when I'm filming this. So, this is probably why I should do scripts instead of just rambling. But anyway, let's get into the actual card making, and we'll use this. So, I ended up making 3 cards. And I'm using the Altenew Build a Garden Breezy Petals bundle. There's a couple options with this one. You can get just the original bundle is the stamp set and the stencil set, and it does come with one of their mini blending brushes, which love their mini blending brushes. Or there's also, you can get the bundle with the stamp, the stencil set, and the die set. Or you can, so there's options. And I'll have links to both options. It's up to whatever it is, you want to do. And I have a full sheet of smooth white cardstock here. So 8.5 by 11 inches. So you can see how I can just take the little side off the stamp wheel 2.0 and then just let that cardstock hang off. Which, again, this works even better. Like if you're using one of the big sets, like that poppy set I used a few months ago. Having the stamp wheel 2.0 back then would have been so much easier. I was going to use it for this video, but I wanted to use this set. I've had it sitting here, and I'm so glad I did. use it because, oh, once I do the stenciling, you guys, chef's kiss. So I stamped the images with the Altenew Obsidian pigment ink and then just flipped the cardstock around and stamped it a second time. So I've got doubles of everything. And I didn't show it on video, but I did heat emboss these images with Wow Clear Matte Dull embossing powder, so they don't look embossed at all. But I find with this ink and this cardstock that even if I heat set it, I cannot, this ink just smears. Any pigment ink for me smears. And more often than not, it's probably because I just don't have enough patience to fully heat set or let things dry. I've talked about this. So instead of doing that, I just heat emboss. You can use regular clear embossing powder, that's fine. I like sometimes using the Wow Clear Matte Dull because, again, it doesn't look heat embossed, but it is. So after I had stamped and heat embossed the images, I'm using the layering stencil set to color in all of these. And at first, it's just like, okay, this is nothing. It's once you start adding the detail stencils that, oh, chef's kiss. When they were first coming on the market, I was kind of like, with any of the brands, I was like, really? Like, do we actually need these? Like, I get it. But, because I like to color. I love layering stencils. I've said this in other videos. The more I use them, the more I enjoy them. It's therapeutic. This was especially nice because I think I said that during the, my very kind of ragged product overview of the stamp wheel that was in the first part of this video. I did this very, very late. It was basically really early in the morning, honestly. Life is what it is. But, I was tired and didn't have much brain space left going on. And that still, it just worked. So I could just sit and stencil and not have to think very much. And it's therapeutic, and I very much enjoyed it. And it, like always, it's like you do the stenciling is fine, but it's every time you remove the stencil, and it's like, oh, it's pretty. So the color combos I chose too, which again, you guys should have seen how many ink pads I had sitting out. I couldn't make up my mind with the color combos. I kept switching the colors until I settled on this one, and I'm so glad I did. This combo ended up even prettier than I thought it was going to be because, again, I had so many colors. I had purples and I had reds and I had just crazy things going on, and then I was like, stop it. Just stick with one combo and go with it. So I'm using the Sunkissed Delights quad of Fresh Dye inks and the Blushberry Bliss quad of Fresh Dye inks for all of these blooms. And as you can see, they're so pretty. They're so pretty. And I just kind of went lighter to darker. Just doing my thing. I didn't bother using my Altenew Grip Mat, anything, really. Because again, you guys, I was working on very low brain function. So I was just doing it. But it just works. And you can't really see it on camera very well. But the stencils also have, the etch lines and all the things. There's numbers on there to line things up. And then in the actual, packaging for the stamp set, it has the layering guide. And that's actually what I have right. You can just barely see it at the top of the screen. So I've got that laid out because I always refer to it, especially when it's a first time using a stencil, because this is the first time I'm using the stamp and stencil set. And it's all explained, all lined out, telling me what to do. I don't like being told what to do, but with things like this, I do. So I just worked my way through filling everything in. And then for the greenery, I went with grays, which is not something it's just, it's habit. I just, they're leaves. They should be green. But it's fun mixing things up sometimes. So for these, I'm using the warm gray quad. And I went with the two middle colors. So the evening gray and the moon rock is what I'm going to use. And this trio of colors, the nice yellows and then the pinks and then the grays. Oh, I like it. It's just this kind of combo I think would work with these florals or just anything really. I think would work so nicely for so many different styles of cards. And the other thing to note too, and I've kind of talked about this before, is one, perfection is overrated. I even like missed a spot of the detail. I think it's on this one right here, of the leaves. I don't know. Actually, I do know. Okay, my brain. I like skipped that one leaf in the middle. It's like it wasn't there. I got it on the second one. I could have gone back and done it. I honestly did not notice it till now, till doing my voiceover. I was like, dude, it's right there. But you know what? It's fine. I might even just grab it. Like the cards are sitting in front of me, like everything is done. But it's like I can actually just grab it. And in fact, that's probably what I'm going to do. I can go back, grab the stencil, quickly blend that one leaf because it's now staring at me. But again, not the end of the world, you know? And then the individual floral cluster, which is also a good size. Because you guys know, I love my large florals. Like, so much. So sets like this is why, I couldn't wait to use it. It's so pretty. It's so pretty. So same thing. All the info is like on the insert for the stamp set and tells you, for the stencil, but it is also another one that it kind of just makes sense. You just kind of got to rotate it sometimes. And it even says that on the insert. It's like rotate 180 degrees. And I was like, okay. But once you actually do it, it's like, oh, that makes sense. This lines up here. The etching lines up with the stamp. It's all good. And even this, because I was like, what is this shape? Oh, it's that one petal. There we go. Went back, filled it in. We're good. So that's all I did. I just kept going back and forth using these same colors. For the littler, like the individual like cluster, I just did the yellow combo, the Sun-Kissed Delights. And then again, went in with the gray for the foliage. And I do love yellow and gray together. Always have. But yeah, adding this pink combo, this Blushberry Bliss, it's so pretty. So I just kept working my way until I had everything stenciled. And then once I'm done with this last layer, which is just the last bit of detail on this floral, the other thing I should have done, and I didn't think about it until I was die cutting, is I should have taken my microfiber cloth and quickly wiped over these images because there is ink sitting on top of the embossing. It normally wouldn't matter too much, but the only reason I'm saying that is when I die cut the first one, it was fine. And I don't have this on camera, but when I die cut the second one, the ink that was sitting on top of the stamped images, on top of the embossing, got pressed into my die plate and then transferred onto the second set of images that I die cut. And I was not happy because, again, it was the middle of the night. I had done all this, all the work, but I just went with it. I did use, and you'll see, I'll have my mono eraser like sitting on screen, and I did try to use that to remove some of it. You can't really see it on screen, but trust me, there was like smudges and all these things, and I was like, no. But we're going to fix it. We're going to add splatter. No one's going to be able to tell. It's going to be fine. So if you've heat embossed images and then you're using stencils on top, or doing just ink blending in general, because it's the same concept when I show doing like ink blended backgrounds that I've heat embossed over. And then how the ink will sit on top of the heat embossing, use a cloth to wipe it off. That's all you got to do. Just wipe off the ink. Even if you can't see it, give it a good little swipe with a microfiber cloth and then do your die cutting, finish your cards. It'll be fine. So, like I always say, do as I say, not as I do. So, I die cut the images and then I figured out kind of my layouts and I was like, okay, I can do 3 cards with these. So on the insides of the cards, and my cards are going to be top folding A2 white note cards, so 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches. And again, I can just lay them on there. I just keep that side off the Stampwheel 2.0. And I'm going to stamp the floral clusters on the insides of the cards with the lightest shades of ink. So for this one, I used the Peachy Glow, which was the lightest yellow shade. And then I'm going to stamp more sentiments from the stamp set with that Obsidian ink. And it's just habit. I could have left like the card base like where it was after stamping florals, but for me it'll probably always be habit. When I'm stamping sentiments, I always put it in the corner. Whether I'm using another positioning tool or the stamp wheel, when I'm stamping sentiments, it's like stick it in the corner, because if I have to stamp it a second time, everything's lined up. Even though I could have left it in the middle, it honestly doesn't matter because the sticky mat in the stamp wheel holds everything in place, but habit. So flipped over the card and then I'm stamping this directly onto the card front, another sentiment. And this one I did have to stamp a second time because I didn't get all the detail. So I just lined it up, stamped it, good to go. And then I've sped this up, but I'm doing the exact same thing with the other 2 cards. I'm just going to stamp the floral cluster onto the inside of the card with the lightest pink ink, which is strawberry. And doesn't show up very much, and I had a heck of a time trying to get photos of this. It's such a pale pink. It's so pretty. But stamp that on the inside, and then I'll stamp another sentiment from the set onto the inside with the Obsidian ink. And yeah, lined it up against the bottom. Again, it's habit, you know? Just habit. So I'm going to stamp that, and then I flip over the card and stamp another sentiment on the front. Repeated that process on the second card base. And then to adhere these die cut florals, I place them where I wanted on the card. I flip it over, and then I use a pencil to just trace the edges of the card so that I'm not putting any adhesive past those lines to make it easier to trim those off. And then for these, I'm backing all of these with Altenew's foam tape. So it'll give them a bit of dimension because for the most part, these are technically pretty clean and simple cards. And once I get the foam tape in place, I can then line up the card front with the pencil lines that I had already made. So just like so, pop that into place. And then I can just trim off everything that's hanging over the edges of the card with my scissors. And then I just did the exact same thing on the other 2 cards. So once I've got all of those, I'm going to add some splatter because, like I said, I had some oopsies here and there. And plus, like I ever need to give an excuse for splatter because I love it. So I'm using the Altenew black gouache and our carbon black. And I've mentioned this before. Be careful with this stuff. I love it. This tube is enormous. It's wonderful. It is very pigmented and it will stain. Like it has stained them. You can see the stains on my little plastic palette. This stuff is a very strong like pigment. See, one, you don't need very much of it, but just be aware of that. And I wash out my brush afterwards, you know, all the things. So I watered it down a little bit and then I just used my little fan brush and I had these in my splat box and just gave everything a good healthy dose of splatter. So that'll distract the eye so people won't see all my oopsies. So yeah, and I put just a folded piece of grid paper inside my splat box because again, these cards are more clean and simple. I didn't want to get any accidental smears on the back of the cards, things like that. So I added my splatter. I'm going to let that dry. I immediately cleaned off my palette, cleaned out my brush, all the things. And then my final little bit of embellishment, because I happened to have the matching enamel dots. So I had the Sun-Kissed Delights and the Blushberry Bliss enamel dots. So I just tucked those in and around these images. Love that. I need to get the other enamel dots in the other, because I don't have like all of them, of all the color collections. And I need to get the other ones because it is just, it's satisfying, when all the colors match up. So just another random little thing. So I tucked in the little enamel dots here and there on all of these cards, and that finished them off. So that was it. That was my kind of ratchet overview of the new Stampwheel 2.0. And then, yeah, these really fun, easy cards. Anyone can do it because the stencils are there. Stamps are there. If you can stamp and stencil, anyone can do this. And I love that. And they're just pretty. I love this combo. So, like I mentioned, I'll have links to all the things in the description box below the video. So if you just expand that, it'll all pop up, be listed there. You can check it out if you are interested. And then in the end screen, I'll link to some other videos that you can check out in case you missed them. And yeah, thank you all so very much for hanging out with me, for thumbs upping and commenting. It genuinely helps a ton and I really appreciate it. Subscribe if you haven't. I would love to have you. You can join me in the chaos of card making. And yeah, I'll see you guys very soon in the next one. Bye. Thank you so much to my amazing Patreon supporters. For anyone that might be interested in joining my Patreon community and supporting me, the link to my Patreon is in the description box below the video. For everyone else, as always, thank you all so much for taking the time to watch my videos, for thumbs upping, commenting, subscribe if you haven't, I'd love to have you. And here's a couple other videos for you to check out in case you missed them. Bye!